So Doug Schneider from Soundstage Network wanted to ask me a question regarding measurements and reviews. So go ahead.
I did a video, and I talked about the importance of what we just discussed in the previous video, about that you shouldn't look at the measurements before you listen. Right. And a reader or viewer, I guess, immediately wrote to me and said, what's a reader supposed to do of your magazine, or a viewer if you're measurements on video? And I didn't have a good answer. And I tried to think what I did as a consumer, and also what I would do as a, if I were a consumer now.
Right.
And I'm not sure what I would do. Would I just read the review? I would probably, I think, seek out the product with as little knowledge as possible and make a judgment, and then research. But what, have you encountered this now, or?
I believe it or not, I still am a consumer. I still do buy some of this stuff. It's funny, in the industry, as a hobbyist, you never really get out of it. So, at least in looking at reviews, like for example, your reviews, it's very nice because the measurements, you actually have to go and click to a certain place. It's not like you're going to be scrolling through the review, subjective review, and go, oh my God, I saw a graph, now that's clouded everything that I'm reading that the reviewer said that they heard. So I tend to, personally, I don't look at the measurements first. If I'm, reading a print magazine, it's pretty easy to just, that'll be usually at the end of the review. I guess the more difficult question, which I probably don't have an answer to either, is if you're interested in, a short list of components that you should go and audition or, borrow from your dealer so you can audition them in your own home, is that clouding your judgment a little bit if you read a review and the measurements in that review, and is that now biasing you for or against the product potentially? So that's an interesting twist on it as well. I guess the reality is that as a consumer, you want to gather as much information that you can. Doesn't matter whether I'm, buying a lens for my camera or whatever, I go out to all the big publications and I read as many reviews as I can, and I try to, I do an internal averaging and weighting based on what people are saying. Take the extreme, this is the best lens on the planet, this is the crappiest one, throw those out. Take the mid-ground ones and then say, is this going to work for me, and is it decent? And I guess I do that a little bit with audio equipment as well, but these days maybe it's a little bit difficult because there's so many products out there on the market, right?
And I think too, and this is where the extremists, like the thing that people that are all about the measurements and pretty much only about the measurements, and you probably experience this a lot, there's a lot more to the measurements than what these people see. So sometimes, I saw one of these reviewers talk, well, I wouldn't buy this loudspeaker because he saw a couple dips in the measurements that I admit were unsightly.
Right.
But I also looked at them and thought, well, maybe that's not that audible and that important. I wouldn't discount it because of that. So one of the ways, once you learn more about measurements, you tend not to throw out as many products when you do see something. Well, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe you were hoping on an amplifier that it was 0.0001% distortion and it's 0.001.
Right.
Well,
you're not going to hear it in either
You know what I
case,
mean?
right?
Just don't discount. Yeah. But there is that extreme on the measurements where they want to see something like that. Oh my God, the signal to noise ratio. Yeah. This one's 114 dB and this one's only 112. I better throw out that 112 one. No.
Yeah,
that's nonsense.
And I find this. I almost think that. Again, if we go back 30, 40, 50 years ago. I think that the audio press, maybe because there was such a culture after World War II of you had to build your own stuff. Most people actually built their own equipment or at least assembled their own equipment from a kit that was very popular. So you had people that were into audio that had a working knowledge of circuitry and all the rest of it. I don't know how to do the job well. It's something I'd like to do in some videos in the future, but educating somebody who doesn't really understand the measurements. What am I actually looking at here, and which
And
are
what
the
matters?
what are the important ones? Is this going to be audible or not? I mean, once you get to on an amplifier, a noise floor that's better than minus 100 dB, we're talking about ear directly against your tweeter to hear any sort of hiss or any noise or anything. So does it matter if it's minus 115 or minus 120? You know, probably not, unless you have a super efficient, you know, horn loudspeaker system or something like that. But
Yeah.
these are the tools I think that a lot of consumers are looking for. So thank you. Idea maybe
Well,
for
and
something.
a good example, it just came to me as you were speaking. We measured an integrated amplifier that I thought was outstanding. Somebody else reviewed it and we got it in. It didn't meet its power spec, or even really close. It was rated at over 200 watts per channel and it made about 180.
Right.
Now that's kind of disappointing. But we told the company and the company went, okay, you measured it like that. It could have been a measurement difference, one channel, two channel, but the rest of the product was outstanding.
Right.
So for me, I was like, hey, even though it didn't meet its power spec, I wouldn't discount it.
Right.
I would still look at this product. It still put out 180 watts per channel. It volume control matched on the thing. Everything was worked perfectly. So what matters, what doesn't?
Right.
That really is what comes to.
Right. Anyway, great. Thanks for the question and for future video ideas. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.